and then on YouTube I will not be, and Twitch will be like a second or two off. But I guess we're live now, so here we go. All right, you're watching RPadTV 3000. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. I have some very special guests today. We have Karen and Chris, two excellent people from the award-winning trivia show Good Job Brain, but also two excellent friends that we used to hang out when we all lived in San Francisco, and we were all in the media, and we got into all kinds of fun, all kinds of trouble, and half of it I don't remember, half of it I probably shouldn't remember. But anyway, how are you guys? How are you guys doing?
We sure did. So I'm wearing this t-shirt I got recently from a restaurant called Best Friend by Roy Choi. He's like from the Chef Show on Netflix.
Yeah.
And
he did the Kogi truck.
Yes. Yeah. So it just reminded me of Vegas and how back in the day of the media days, we used to do press events and get flown and get wined and dined in Las Vegas, and we would all hang out, including one time we all hung out.
Yeah,
and had quite an adventurous weekend.
We all it was after the Dice Summit, right? Like Ray, you and I were both there for the Dice Summit, and then it was like, oh, we're here in Las Vegas, and the funny thing now is just like, if I'm going to go to Las Vegas, I'm going to go in and I'm going to get right out immediately, like as soon as any obligations are over. But instead, it was like, oh no, well, we'll go for the Dice Summit, and it's like 2 days, and then it leads into a weekend. So we'll just stay the weekend in Vegas, and then by the end of even in my 20s, at the end of it, it was like, I've been in Vegas for a week. I need, please either send me home or kill me. Either way is fine. But yes, no, we did have wonderful times hanging out back then.
But that was you guys were talking about. Wasn't it Robin and my ex also? That was our gaggle?
Maybe. Wasn't it? I remember
Rob was there that one time. Yep.
Somehow we ended up at the Playboy Club.
Where was yes, and where was the play? That's not a strip club. It was actually a nightclub. Yeah, in the Cosmopolitan. Or where was that? It was
no, I think it was before Cosmopolitan was built. It was a while ago.
Right. Yeah. What was the it was like was it like syringes of Jello shots or something? What was the crazy thing that they were like giving out? It was some ridiculous item. Yeah.
And I remember seeing it. I'm like, what is this fluorescent syringe you're giving me? Is this a new kind of heroin the kids are doing these days? No idea.
Then we would stay, and I don't really think you can do this anymore because I think a lot of the prices have come up, and the resort fees and tacked on and things like that, and it's not as cheap as it was. But like we would stay at the Tropicana before they renovated it, and it was the worst. But you could go to Expedia and you could book, at the Tropicana, you could book rooms for like $20 a night or something like that. And that was just all in. Like there were no funny expenses or anything like that. And it was so bad. Rob checked into his room. He was so mad because they're like, we're going to upgrade you to our deluxe room. And he goes into the deluxe room, and the deluxe room is just a normal room with a sex mirror on the ceiling. And he's just like, this is not why I'm here. I don't want this. I don't want to look at myself while I'm falling asleep. And I don't think and again, that was pre-renovation. I think they classed it up a lot since then.
They did. It looks really nice now.
Yeah.
But the Tropicana did have one of the few indoor pools in Vegas. And I remember going swimming with you guys, and because Dice was it's in February typically. Yep. So for the most part in the Strip, all the pools are closed, but Tropicana has that indoor pools.
And I remember this. We were there at the Tropicana indoor pool, walking by, because I think you have to like walk by. And I think maybe we decided to go in to hang out, and then it was the women's softball finals
Oh, wow.
happened, and there were
It was like a
multiple
convention.
softball teams at the Tropicana indoor pool pre-renovation, and we hung out with them for a little bit.
Oh, I remember. I feel like it was roller derby. Was it roller derby?
Oh, yes.
I think it might have been roller derby.
A little bit different. Roller derby softball team.
Yeah,
it was like
yeah.
a cool female sport tournament meetup type thing.
Yeah,
I'm going with roller derby. That sounds cool.
Yeah.
I feel I don't know why I would think it was roller derby if it wasn't roller derby. I don't know, but yeah.
They are pretty specific.
Good times.
So we have our first comment from Tokes. He said those fluorescent syringe things were antibiotic shots.
I wish they had been.
I don't think that was the case.
They were pro.
They were, yeah.
Interesting.
Oh man.
But let's talk about the podcast. Good job, Brain. You guys have been doing it for a long time. Went on hiatus for, was it a couple of years or
3 years?
3 years, and then it came back. But I won't call it a comeback like LL Cool J. So for the people out there, tell us what Good Job Brain is, how it got started, and all of that good stuff.
That's a Karen question.
Really? I was gonna say it's a Chris question. Oh, okay.
How it got started? Okay.
I'll talk about what the podcast is. The podcast is basically a mix of a game show and fun facts and weird facts, kind of all in one. It's kind of like a little bit of a variety show. It's less than an hour, and it's the four of us who all played on a pub trivia team. We come up with interesting stories and facts, or we even make our own insane quizzes, and we kind of like hold a little pub trivia with the four of us, but really in spirit it's for everybody, right? We want all the listeners to kind of join our table and play a bit of trivia. It's not that competitive, it's very fun, and we've been doing it for almost 10 years now. It's our 10-year anniversary in a couple months.
That's awesome.
Even though we took a hiatus.
We did take a break. We took a break. Yeah, not 10 continuous years of doing the show, but 10 years since the last one. We never intended to like take a huge break. It's just that like all our lives kind of all changed at the same time.
Right.
The pandemic got us back together because, you know, like everybody else, we're kind of sitting around in our house, and it was the thing is we taped every single episode live, you know, in the room with each other. Sorry, not live, but like you know, in person. And so we had just sort of assumed that we weren't going to be able, we couldn't do it remotely. And it became very, very difficult for us to keep getting together all the time to record episodes. And then with you know, the pandemic, and it was just sort of like, oh, let's, you know, what if we were to try, you know, there's better technology now, like let's try recording remotely. And what we're worried about was not technologically, but capturing the same energy as we get, you know, that sort of unique, you know, group dynamic as we have when we're all in the room together, listening to each other's jokes, playing the quizzes and things like that. And it just so happened to work out that it was perfect. Like it totally works when we're all on camera with each other. People can't tell the difference. And we couldn't even believe it. It just works so well. So we're very back, and we're very happy that we were able to figure out a way to do it remotely, because it just enables us to actually do it and to always do it on a schedule. And instead of it having to be, I mean, you know, on my part, like I had a kid, and it was just like to leave the family for a whole day, you know, like every weekend to go and record episodes was too much time.
Right.
But now it can be like, okay, well, we're just going to record for 2 hours, and then I'm back, and I'm in the house the whole time, you know. So from my perspective, it worked out good. You know, Karen probably feels a similar way, having being a mom now.
The real sad part is, due to life stuff and due to the pandemic, is we used to play pub trivia every week for years and years and years, every single week. And so for us to kind of grow out of that or to not do that anymore. That was a big fear. It's like, well, that's the whole dynamic of Good Job Brain, the show, right? It's like we're at a pub trivia table and we're kind of, you know, making gags and quizzing each other. But you know, I think maybe that speaks to the strength of our individual and friends dynamic, that we're able to still have that energy despite not doing pub trivia every week. You know, now that we're all parents. I was the last person to become a parent, but like now we're all parents, and now we have like more kids than we do the hosts of Good Job Brain. Oh, and I see that someone asked, what is the significance of the name Good Job Brain? That is something we used to say to ourselves at pub trivia, you know, getting a question right, or, you know, really like trying to like grasp at the straws. I think I remember it was like a picture round. It was a picture of Tom Wilkinson, actor Tom Wilkinson. And I was like, I remember this guy. He was in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. And it's like, I finally got the name. And then we put it down and it's right. And that's like, you know, the moment where you're like, oh, good job, Brain.
Yep.
Okay, we got a few more things going on Twitch. There was a great reply to that question. These guys are fighting now. Then, if you had a
no,
get it. And then he made himself look dumber because he thought it was Good Job Brian. Come on.
So the joke,
a whole different podcast.
I keep saying we have to do a show that's called Good Job Brian.
We did. I think we
I don't know.
We did a segment. We didn't do a whole show.
We did the full show, the full hour. Brian's throughout history. Brian's done good things. Brian's done bad things.
Great.
Yeah. Because everybody always miswrites it as Good Job Brian, or misreads it in this case. It happens.
So you guys know, you remember my friend Zoe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We used to do this thing on karaoke where we would turn every song with the word heaven in it into Kevin. So,
right.
Cure, we would be like, just like Kevin.
Just like Kevin.
Yes. Brian Adams, he had a song called Heaven. So did Warrant. We do all this kind of stupid.
Kevin is a place on earth. Yeah.
We never did that one, but that's fantastic.
Well, should have invited me along, I guess.
Had a question for you guys. What's your favorite trivia fact you've learned over the years, or the most unique?
Oh man, this changes like every day, or at least every week, every month.
Well, I mean, you know, we have this this particular fact that's become like associated with our show and our merch and stuff like that as well. It's this thing that we learned that it's like brain poison. You know, it just spreads. Once you learn it, you can never unlearn it, and it ruins your life. Is that when something has natural vanilla or raspberry flavoring, that often comes from the anal glands of a beaver, because they secrete a substance known as castoreum that is harvested in a method procedure that may or may not be pleasant for the beer. I really don't know, but and is used to make raspberry and vanilla flavoring. You can look that up. That's true. And people loved that. I feel like we introduced that. You hear about that all the time now. I feel like we were the innovators of the "Have you heard about castoreum" thing.
This is like 10 years ago. This is like from our fourth episode back in 2012. Yeah. And then it was like on Supermarket Sweep.
Yep.
Recently.
Not the product.
Yeah. No.
Certainly not the beaver, but the knowledge. Yeah. And you know, when we had like, you know, beaver butthole merchandise and things like that, and things, you know, people got into it.
Yeah. I think a couple years ago, I actually bought in San Francisco, we have this train called BART, right? It's kind of like a subway. I actually bought subway ads for our show a while ago. Oh my God. And, you know, it would share like a couple facts. Like one is snarge is the word when a bird flies into an airplane and gets shredded. It's called snarge. That's like the pilot term for it. And then we have another like kind of fact billboard ad, and then one of the ad was for castoreum, and we have this like illustration of a cartoon beaver with his tail up. It's very cute. He's looking back. And it shows his butt, and there's like a butthole, like a little star. It's very cute. It's like very classy. It's like a star.
It's adorable. It's adorable. Imagine,
it's
imagine a beaver showing his butthole like
an
in the
asterisk.
nicest way. Yeah.
As most animal buttholes tend to be. Adorable.
Yes. And the company that was doing the ad filling, the physical ad filling, kind of shot it back to me and was like, we can't do this. We can't print this. I go, oh, I didn't know if it was like the fact. I didn't know it was the copy. I didn't know it was like maybe the color was weird on the production file. And I asked him, I was like, okay, well, you have to tell me and then I can fix it, whatever the problem is. And he was like, yeah, we can't have buttholes. And so we had to take the butthole off. And so it's the same ad. It just doesn't have the little cute asterisks. It's just like a big flat white space of a beaver's nether region.
Yeah.
And then I was really scared that people are going to draw buttholes on it to compensate for it.
No, didn't they put it across the train tracks? So you'd have to risk your life to draw the butthole. It's not worth it.
Yeah,
it's not worth it.
So when you guys started,
can we do that again? Can we put up BART ads again? Like, I don't think that they probably didn't help us at all. You know what I mean? Like, did they do anything? I don't know. But it was sure as heck was cool to have them up there for a.
Well, with the pandemic, or what is BART traffic like now since COVID and all that?
People still write it.
Right.
It's not sardines.
Right. Yeah. I've been on it.
Yeah. And also they upgraded the trains. So the trains actually, some of them are really nice and modern now.
Yeah.
Way less semen and way less feces.
That's good. That's good.
But still a little bit. You can't take away. So when you guys started the podcast, did you imagine it would grow to be as successful as it has been? Because you guys have won awards. You've gotten all kinds of awesome press. You've gotten featured on like the iTunes front page and all that.
I thought it would be much bigger. I thought we'd be, multimillionaires by now. So
retired.
Really, exactly. Just my giant mansion paid for by me knowing things about flags. No.
Oh man, what? That's the dream, though.
Yeah, that is.
That's the dream.
There was a point at which, when it was really hot, we were talking with a TV producer. And really seriously discussing the idea of like this Good Job Brain TV show. And he's like, yeah, this guy had conversations with Danica McKellar about, potentially hosting this thing. And then it never went anywhere because, 99% of, TV projects never go past, the person calling Danica McKellar and asking, just, nice dream.
I'm sure. Have you gotten a lot of new viewers from the pandemic? People stuck at home wanting to try.
People, the thing is, you asked if we ever envisioned it to be something. In my head, I saw it. Do you know what I mean? As we started the show, before we even recorded, like in my head, I saw the Matrix, and I could see what it was going to look like, what it was going to sound like, what are we going to have, knowing, because we've been playing pub trivia with each other for like years and years and years. And so it's like, we know each other, and I could fit all the pieces. And I'm like, this is a show made for people like us. And this is before podcasts were even a thing. This is like nowadays, oh my God, everybody has a podcast. But back then, I mean, that was also kind of our stroke of luck, is just we kind of were there early. Before people were in that space. And we really kind of, a lot of people would tell us that we're their first podcast ever. And so
you were also very smart about in the very beginning. I mean, because Karen, Karen's a graphic designer by trade, right? And so Karen from day one, like, you also looked at iTunes and like what categories are underserved and what goes into making a really good icon, that sort of like that beautiful the bright orange, the safety cone orange, and the mustache and everything. And so I mean, we really had this Karen and I had worked together before on a charity event, Rock Band Night for Charity, in which Karen came in and designed the logo and just made it like, and like took something that was small and made it look extremely important and big, with really good graphic design. And so I think we really had that in our corner. Yeah, absolutely. And so when Good Job, it debuted, I'm like, I mean, they put Good Job Brain on Apple TV ads and stuff like that, because they would show podcasts on your, somebody there loved us. Somebody there loved us because we would see Good Job Brain logo on literal television, on like ads for the iPod or whatever and stuff like that. But it was just such a great visual signifier, of the podcast. So that was big for us too.
Now, was the One Up podcast before Good Job Brain? Did that help form this? A lot of
that was kind of the secret sauce. I think both Chris was at Wired at the time.
Right.
Yeah.
So he has, either videos or guests on other podcasts, but he has his own following from Wired. And then, I came from EGM One Up, where we kind of pioneered the video game podcast genre.
Yep.
And so I was on the World of Warcraft one. So naturally, like, I think between the two of us, because we had our toes dipped in the gross water that is, video game commentary. That we kind of knew what was going to happen. We knew what kind of works, and we also had some sort of existing listenership. But of course, those numbers are nothing compared to any shows now. Which is
but I mean, it was so early. Like, as you said, One Up was a really pioneering podcast, and so is Good Job Brain. But quick question for you guys: do you know what time it is?
Like show and tell time.
Show and tell time. So, speaking of logos and shirts.
Oh,
hey, look at that!
That was the first issue. That was the first print.
And I've worn this shirt in at least 8 different countries. This was
my gosh.
This was always my airplane shirt, so I'd always wear it on flights. So it's, obviously I got it here. It's been to Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, Korea.
Wow. It's like the gnome, but it's the orange shirt.
And somebody, a few people at airports recognized the shirt, and they're like, "Hey, you're a Good Job Brain fan?" I'm like, "No, I just like the shirt." No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know. I should wear the shirt around. Wear the shirt around more.
But isn't it weird if we wear the shirt and it's like it's my show? Like it's kind of
is that weird?
Right. Yeah, it would be a little weird.
So speaking of airplanes,
I wore my Good Job Brain hoodie at PAX, one year, and somebody sort of walking by was like, "Oh, Good Job Brain, it's a good show." I'm like, "Yeah," kind of walked away, and then, they realized.
At least it wasn't like, that show is awesome, except for that one host, Chris.
Right. Wish he would go. Yeah,
would have been bad.
But we always so we did go back to Vegas. We actually did a Good Job Brain trip to Vegas once, where we went to Vegas, recorded shows in our hotel room, and it was fun. And then we did a meetup, and that was super fun. People drove up from Phoenix or something like that to go to the Good Job Brain. Yeah. It was far away to go to the Good Job Brain Vegas meetup, and it was a blast. And I always love meeting people because it's just a totally, I did, video game podcasting for such a long time. And, there's a certain group of people that you meet, but I mean, then you do a trivia podcast, and it's like, you know, it's like families and it's old ladies and stuff like that. You know what I mean? This is a totally different group of people that you get to meet, and they all memorized everything I ever said on any show, and I have no idea what the hell they're talking about. I really feel bad because they're just like, remember on this show when you said this, it was so funny. I'm like, no, I don't remember that in any way, but it's nice for you to be here.
It's a
We have another
crowd.
question.
It is.
Who is nerdier, pub trivia people or WoW people?
Oh, wow. For sure.
Yeah?
Because with pub trivia, like it's binary. Either something is factual or something is not factual. I think with WoW, there is so many more avenues that people can get geeky about, right? So say if you know, you're doing min-maxing on your talent tree, or some people can look at raid stats, or some people do PvP. I think there's just way more avenues to geek out in different ways. Yeah, whether you're cosplaying or you're, you know, putting up a database or writing a macro, or, you know, running, you know, you're like a teacher of sort. You're running big raids. It's colorful.
Yep.
Now,
and we don't interact with other pub trivia people a lot because they're our enemies. You know what I mean? Like when we used to go to the bar, you know, I mean, we would literally be trying to beat these people, and we were super mad at them all the time. So I don't.
No, we weren't. We weren't.
Sometimes, some people. Sometimes.
Yes.
Maybe you made more friends than I did.
No. I mean, there were a couple teams that just didn't have good, you know, sportsmanship or etiquette. But then there are other teams that are like us, who are kind of, you know, who are really into it and who like hanging out, who like trivia.
Yeah.
And we all kind of became friends that way. But yeah, there's bad sportsmanship for sure. I've seen.
Are there any pub trivia bar fights that you guys had witnessed?
No.
Witness, no. Been in, yes.
You started it, Chris?
Sorry, no. I've never been in a bar fight. I'd be beaten to a puddle of jelly if that were the case.
Well, we actually devised, you know, within our team, a system to kind of quell disputes and bad feelings when it comes to trivia. And it works really, really well. So I think, you know, when you're playing trivia with your trivia teammates, one person has, the answer is A. And someone else is like, no, the answer is B. And both people are just like, we got to, you know, my answer is better. My answer is better. No, you're wrong. You're wrong. And so it becomes a situation where I think most teams, you know, in that situation would be like, okay, how sure are you? And how sure are you? We devised a system which is, instead of 1 to 10, how sure are you about your answer, is 1 to 10, how angry would you be if we put down the other answer and it was wrong? How angry would you be if your answer was the right one and we didn't put it down? 1 to 10.
That's more meaningful. I love that.
Yes.
Yeah. So if someone is like, I think it's B, but I kind of don't care, I'll put down a 3, versus someone's like, I'm gonna be so pissed if it's a 10.
Right.
And we go with, you know, and that's kind of our system, is how, on scale 1 to 10, how pissed off would you be if we didn't put your answer and your answer was right?
And I think that gets to a little bit of, well, how sure do you really feel about this? Because if you really feel sure, and you're going to be really mad if somebody overrules you and takes the wrong answer, you know, versus, well, I'm pretty sure that this is correct, but, you know, if you're not going to be that mad about it, then you must not really. It works for us because we understand, you know, how ticked off we're going to be.
I want to talk about some of your hobbies and our hobbies that we all enjoy. Karen, during the pandemic, you started making sneakers, and
I did.
Like, how did you get into that?
Well, my husband is a big sneaker head.
Right.
He also is 6'7" and wears a size 16.
Wow.
So
he has to make his own shoes.
They
do not manufacture shoes that fit. I don't know if that's true or not.
It's well, so for all the really cool pairs of shoes or the cool releases, it's a bell curve, right? You're gonna have the smallest sizes and the larger sizes. There's gonna be only a few pairs, and and all the stuff is either a lottery system or first come first serve. It's really aggressive, and
so we just can't get the cool stuff.
Exactly. And so, or the cool stuff goes to professional athletes who also have big feet. So I think a part of him was like, you know what? I'm tired of this. I would like to make my own shoes in my own kind of design or colors that I want. And at first I was like, haha, yeah, that's not a thing. Like, I know crafts and I know making stuff. I was like, that's not a thing. And lo and behold, he found this guy who does custom sneakers, went to school, like a boot camp for a couple days, and learned how to, went to there's a workshop, and there's obviously like specialized tools and equipment, machinery. And in a week, he made his own first pair of shoes, and I couldn't believe it. And then he came home and he's like, man, that was so cool, but like, I don't want to spring a bunch of money to do the class again. I want to do this at home. And so we started kind of just accumulating, like, as we save, like, a leather sewing machine, this machine, and then different things. And since we have all the stuff in place now at home, I was like, oh, maybe I'll give it a try. And that's how I got into it.
And you've made a lot of
you guys enter competitions.
Oh yeah. There's a whole community of like sneaker makers, and there's like different seasonal competitions, and it's not like it's not like a national competition. It's just within friends, and you might get a gift card or something. But it's a nice kind of a nice deadline to give myself.
And is the Mega Man sneakers, is that the last one you've worked on? And
yeah,
what cool nerdy ones have you made?
I made, so that I just dropped off to somebody. It was Mega Man Air Jordan 1 highs. And then I have this pair. This is an SB Dunk that is styled. This is for like the Disney fans, because I'm a crazy Disney person. There's a ride called Tower of Terror. It's the idea is like a haunted kind of hotel, and they have these bellhop uniforms that the employees wear, and this is kind of a tribute to the ride and the uniform. I also made a pair based on Zoidberg for Futurama, which is my ultimate favorite show. And Chris actually got a cameo. We gave each other cameos during the pandemic, because you know how cameos was really big during the pandemic.
Oh yeah.
So on Good Job Brain, I had a quiz where I would play parts of cameos from celebrities, and you had to guess who it was. You had to identify by voice. And your prize for winning that quiz was to get an actual cameo that I would get someone that I think would be great for you. And Chris won that quiz. So I gifted him a cameo from none other than Frenchie herself, Didi Khan from Greece.
Wow.
It was pretty great, and she does wonderful cameos. There's some cameos that are not great, but Didi Khan she just effuses positive. It was so funny. And then so then I'm like, well, thank you for. And then I'm like, oh, Karen made these Zoidberg sneakers. I'm gonna importantly, Karen made the Zoidberg sneakers, and then Billy West, who voices Zoidberg, tweeted about them or retweeted them. And so I'm like, amazing. Let me remind Billy West, in this sort of the cameo instructions about these sneakers that he saw, and like, why don't you do a cameo for Karen talking about actually doing the Zoidberg voice, and what did Zoidberg think of the shoes? So now Karen's got a little recording of Zoidberg doing a review of the Zoidberg shoe. They're wonderful. Yeah,
it's amazing.
There's
the
mouth flaps.
Yep.
That is an awesome hobby, and
it is. It's very expensive.
So yeah, how much would it cost to make a pair? Not like a size 16, like a normal foot.
Yeah,
Like-
the thing is, you have to think about it's like we have an industrial sewing machine, which
Right.
was a bit of an investment. We have to get materials. I think people don't know that for every size needs its own pattern for that size, and it needs its own foot shape mold.
Oh.
So you know how like when you see fashion designers, they're draping clothes on like a mannequin. So there's like a foot mannequin that you have to that's sized accordingly to make the shoe. And so for every style, you need to get a pattern for that style in that size and the form for that size. So it actually kind of the cost starts going up a little bit as you're doing more sizes for different people.
This reminds me of a story that I've told occasionally, which is that when I lived in Japan around the year, I moved there, and the second time that I was there after college, I moved in 2002, and got myself a new pair of shoes, because I'm doing a lot of walking in Japan, so I bought some shoes, some sneakers, and took them to Japan with me. And my feet are either a 12 wide or a 13, basically a 12W. You know what I mean? So 13 good. I bought size 12 shoes before I went over there, and they seemed to fit okay.
Oh,
and after a couple of weeks of walking around in Kyoto, Japan, the little toe on each foot had turned purple because the shoes were just, it's like they wasn't hurting my feet when I was walking around, but they were just too small. And I'm like, nope, this is bad. I need shoes. Okay, great. Well, off I go to the shoe store in Kyoto, Japan in 2002. And it's not like a Target or whatever. It's just a small shoe store in the middle of the city. And I go in and I walk in to the store, and immediately the guy working there is like, and I'm like, hey, I need to buy a pair of shoes. And he's like, all right, what's your shoe size? And I'm like, well, it's either like a 12 wide or a 13. Now, of course, Japan they have a different, sizing. So he's like, oh, no problem. Let me get out my converter. And then because he hears 12 wide or 13, is like, let's see what that is. And he has his little clipboard with the size conversion. I just see him go like this. And long story, it was literally as if Shaquille O'Neal had just walked into the store and asked for shoes that fit him, and the guy's just like, I think I might have, literally pulls down a ladder out of the ceiling and goes up into the attic of this old Japanese shop and pulls down one like box that just happens to be up there. And it's just one pair of shoes. And he's like, I have this. And it was a 12. And I'm like,
oh no.
So I end up like calling my mom in America. And I'm like, I need you to like go to like Walmart or whatever. And I need you to like buy me some sneakers. And my mom's like, really? You can't get, I'm like,
buy them there? Yeah.
I can't get shoes in my size. So yeah. So
Shaq size.
Shaq size is
FYI
26.
22 EEE.
That's what the shoe says when he puts it on.
We have another question from Twitch again. Follow-up question. Who is nerdier? WoW people or Disney people?
You are
like
correct.
People who are hardcore into it.
Disney.
Like yeah.
Disney. Based on the logic, Disney gives you even more avenues to geek out about. Is it the parks? Is it the food? Is it the pricing? Is it the movies? Is it this? Is it that? Is it, is it Marvel? Is it Star Wars? Like what's like, this is the, for new attractions, really hardcore people are like, oh, this is the construction timeline from the, the contractor that's working on this part. And then it gets, I've seen it all. Oh, the running Disney, people, it's like Disney people can be extremely intense about their love for Disney. And I would know. Chris would know too. He's a big Disney person.
I do like Disney.
You know what you also love? Japanese curry.
I do love Japanese curry. So I have to ask.
Japanese curry expert.
If you
America.
you search for you have to search for it in Japanese, but if you search for foreigner who loves curry in Japanese in Google, my picture comes up as the first image.
GQ.
I was in GQ. Yes, that's true. I am a GQ, as I have to remind my wife, a lot. She is married to a GQ model because GQ Japan did a feature on people who love curry, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna have somebody photograph you," and I'm in GQ Japan eating a big old plate of curry. I dressed up for it.
What would you say are the 3 best curry restaurants in America that you've had?
So, what's been really exciting is that we in the Bay Area was sort of a little bit of a Japanese curry desert for a long time. A lot of places you didn't. So so there's Kokoichi Banya, which is kind of like the people call it the McDonald's of curry. I mean, it's not. It's actually very good, but there's literally like 1,000 plus of them in Japan. It's like it's the most common place to find curry. And they opened up like 15 years ago now. They opened up in LA, and they're in other they're in like Thailand and things like that. They opened up in the Southern California area. They never came up here. And then Go-Go Curry, which is like the second biggest chain in Japan, opened up in New York City, and there's one in Cambridge too. And so that was back in like late 2000s. And then the Bay Area, it was very scattershot. But then my very favorite curry in Japan is a chain. It's called Hinoya Curry, Hinoya. And they finally came to America, and they opened up their first location in San Francisco. That stuff is like transcendent. It's actually it has won the Japanese Curry Grand Prix like in 2013. It was voted the best curry in Japan in 2013. It is so freaking good. And the guys who I've become friendly with the guys who run the US branch, and I mean they're very committed to doing it right and doing it perfect. And it's so great. Like if you're in the San Francisco area, Hinoya Curry, it's in the Marina. It is mind-blowingly good.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
We gotta try.
Have you had it yet, Karen?
No, I haven't because I don't leave the house. But
right.
Probably the most delicious Japanese curry I remember was also your recommendation in San Jose.
Oh, Demiya?
Yes, Demiya.
Yes.
And they have really one good. Where it's like hamburger patties and on a plate of rice is very weirdly Asian. But it's hamburger patty with cheese inside. And then the curry, you cut it in half, and it's like waterfall.
You slice into the burger, and the waterfall of melted cheese just comes out into the curry. Ridiculous. BSU Kenyon asks, what makes Japanese curry so special? It's like a completely different dish from like Indian or Thai curry. I mean, it's spicy sauce. It doesn't even have to be spicy. The thing with Japanese curry is that like it's sort of it's very similar, kind of like in terms of its composition to like the British curry that they serve with chips, with French fries, at pubs in Britain. But Japan kind of took that, and it was introduced by the British, Navy, to Japan back in the day. And they kind of took that and really just ran with it. And so Japanese curry is like comfort food. It's like eating macaroni and cheese or something like that. It's like this really like, warm, filling, hearty. It does at a base level, it's not spicy. You can make it spicy if you want to. And then the other thing that Japan did with curry is they just started adding all kinds of crazy toppings to it. And so you can get your curry with, a pork katsu, like a fried pork cutlet on it is typical, but then it goes into like corn, sausage, cheese, anything, squid, whatever you can think of to put on top of it, they will do. And it's just this very, very unique dish, and it took a really long time, and people are finally kind of coming around to it as people eat curry in Japan more than they eat all of the other things that you think are Japanese food. They eat more curry than sushi. They eat more curry than ramen. They eat more curry than chicken
It's like
teriyaki.
what moms cook.
Thing, you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Right.
It is.
No.
It is. Yeah.
Kids eat it at a
Moms
pretty
all the
early
potatoes.
age.
Sorry. What? Sorry, Ray. What?
Kids eat it at a pretty early age. Is that correct?
They do. They absolutely do.
Like apples in it.
Yep. Yeah, my 7-year-old is a very picky eater and doesn't want to touch it. But my 2-year-old, if you put her in front of a plate of Japanese curry, will just house it. So I mean, that's good.
So curry trivia question for you. There was this one Tokyo game show where the people I was with, we kept going to this curry place and we didn't know the name of it because there wasn't a sign in English, but the logo was like a king's head in a gravy boat.
It was a what head in a gravy boat?
There was a king and his like head was in a gravy boat.
I don't know. I don't know what that is.
We kept
I can
calling
try to find it for you though.
Yeah. Okay.
So where was it? Where was it?
I want to say it was in Ikebukuro, but it was so long ago
okay.
that I don't remember.
You know what? Speaking of that, one of my other fondest memories, other than Vegas with you guys, was in Tokyo Game Show with you guys. In various game shows, but Tokyo Game Show is pretty special. I haven't been obviously for a very long time, but that's something I miss being in the video game media is like working at the shows and seeing everybody and then, networking and talking and meeting people. And it was just all on the company's dime. It was great.
Question for both of you. Could you do that now? I cannot. I don't have the stamina to do a trade show.
To do what?
To do a trade show.
Oh yeah. I mean, I haven't really had to think about it in a while. I was at because with Wired I was going everywhere. With Kotaku I wasn't really going to. I didn't go to E3. I went to Tokyo Game Show, but I mean, I took it a lot easier. You know what I mean? It's like there were a couple of major parties that I wanted to hit, but otherwise it's not like I was going out and getting blasted and then trying to wake up and do a day of work. You know what I mean? It's not. And also, the important thing also is that the people that I wanted to hang out with didn't necessarily want to do that either. You know what I mean? Because we're all getting older, so everybody wanted to do something a little bit more sedate.
Well, now I have a whole new level of respect for like John Kiefer and Andy Eddy, who were doing these trade shows when they're older than we are now, and I have no idea how they did that. Oh shit. Now I need to talk to you guys about Liquid Death.
Whoa.
Liquid Death is a canned water. It's just regular. It comes in still and it comes in sparkling. I like to use reusable containers as much as I can, but every now and then I have a guest over or I need to go out on the road and I don't want to.
Please tell me what it is.
It's water.
Well, apparently, but it kills you, right? You drink it, you die.
They want to put death to plastic because there's so many plastic bottles. I know there's one incredibly selfish woman that goes through dozens of plastic bottles by herself every week. I think the three of us all love sushi. The levels of microplastics and fish now, it's kind of obscene. And most plastic doesn't even get recycled because it's not cost effective to do it. However, aluminum cans are infinitely recyclable. That's a word. Recyclable. And according to Liquid Death, 75% of the aluminum since 1888 is still in circulation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So try to kick plastic bottles if you can. I know plastic is convenient and it's everywhere, but look for stuff like Liquid Death or any canned water. Oh, wait. But Liquid Death especially, which you can find at Whole Foods, Publix, 7-Eleven, and other fine stores.
I love trying new weird beverages. It is so fun, and it is a weird thing of mine. I think just in the... Good Job Brain fans would know, but like when we record, I have a whole beverage tradition that I have to do before we record the show. And it's very particular, and it's I love trying new like drinks and stuff. It's always fun. It's my thing.
I don't know if you guys know this, but since the pandemic started, I've been taking online acting classes.
No.
Yeah, I'm going to the Paul Walker School for Gifted Actors or something like that. And I have to do a scene from Airplane, really short scene. I've sent you guys the script.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay.
All of it.
Yeah.
I would be playing Dr. Rumack, who was portrayed by the late great Leslie Nielsen.
Oh, Enrico Palazzo.
It's funny. I was talking tangent first because the story cracks me up. But we were in Orlando at WrestleMania. Jose Sanchez Fubar from Electric Playground, and we were doing karaoke at the hotel bar. And this one old guy, fantastic voice, and he sort of kind of looked like Leslie Nielsen. So every time he would say, no, it wasn't. People thought it was him. I just kept clapping. I'm like, Lieutenant Frank Drebin, everyone. Frank Drebin. I don't know how funny he thought it was, but we were drunk and we thought it was hilarious.
I think I seem to remember this. I think I remember this. Yeah. I didn't participate, I don't think.
Oh, we were so young.
I probably didn't get it.
Karen, you're playing Elaine.
Yes.
And Chris, you're playing Captain Over.
Captain Over.
What was the actor's name? Pete.
For Captain Over. Oh, wow. I don't know.
I guess we'll just never know.
No, IMDb. No.
So, informal. We'll just look it up.
No.
Peter Graves.
Peter Graves.
Peter Graves. Yeah. Yep. Oh, best known for his role as Jim Phelps in the CBS television series Mission Impossible.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
No, right. He's known for Airplane. You all got your scripts? You all ready?
Yep. I have my script. Yes.
Okay, and action. You'd better tell the captain. We've got to land as soon as we can. This woman has got to be gotten to a hospital.
A hospital? What is it?
It's a big building with patients, but that's not important right now. Tell the captain I must speak with him.
Certainly.
Thank you, Omaha 209er out. Victor, we're running into a heavy storm. Can you...
Captain, how soon can you land?
I can't tell.
You can tell me. I'm a doctor.
No, I mean, I'm just not sure.
Can't you take a guess?
Well, not for another 2 hours.
You can't take a guess for another 2 hours?
No, I mean, we can't land for another 2 hours. Fog has closed down everything this side of the mountains. We've got to go through to Chicago.
Cut. I thought that was excellent. I'm going to give us some applause here.
Oh, nice.
I don't know what sound effects I have. Oh, yes.
Acting!
No.
What other sound effects do I have loaded up?
Yeah.
Oh, and Chris will appreciate this one.
Oh, yeah! Oh, gosh. Yeah.
Oh,
who is that? Is that Kool-Aid Man?
Yes, Randy the Kool-Aid Man Savage.
Randy the Kool-Aid Man. That would be an entirely different gimmick. So one of the things that when I lived in San Francisco that I loved was karaoke. Going out, a lot of journalists,
yes,
sometimes PR people, but it was mostly people in the media. We'd all go out to karaoke, and I didn't realize this at the time, but the reason why I did it because I loved it. I loved hanging out and singing with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the people in our group did it because it was the most economical way for them to drink, and totally did not realize that until like 15, 20 years later.
Like they weren't there to perform, is what you're saying?
Yeah, they were there because you could sneak in booze at these Korean-owned karaoke places, and it was much cheaper than going to a bar.
Yeah, again, I think it's important to like know that going to karaoke in San Francisco in the mid 2000s meant the karaoke places that existed did not have a liquor license. They didn't even have a beer, wine, and sake license. They literally were operating under the purported idea that every single person in the karaoke boxes was stone cold sober. And so once everybody had a good laugh at that, I mean, basically, like, the whole thing was they knew that you were bringing in alcohol. They just didn't want to see it. And it's like the whole thing was just like plausible deniability.
Yep.
Like, if you are in there like waving your glass bottles of alcohol and stuff like that around, and clearly you're filling the room with alcohol, they're gonna shut you down. But like they made it very, very clear that they just didn't want to know. And now things are a lot different because, I mean, one of the big things that happened, in the last 10 years was that Yama Show opened up, which was a I mean, also these places were not in any way anything you would call classy. I mean, they were holes, right? Or like had a roof, like they were absolutely, it was ridiculous. And so Yama Show opens up a gorgeous 2-level split level Japanese restaurant in like on Van Ness, so kind of right in the heart of things, just off, not in Japantown, but just off of it. And they built out beautiful karaoke rooms, and they had their liquor license, and so you could actually go and but the thing is, it then got ridiculously more expensive because you actually had to pay for your drinks at the place instead of just like going to a convenience store and bringing in alcohol. But you're right, it was, for a time, it was economical if you were doing that, for sure.
Of course, because we're walking in with liters of alcohol. Like everyone had like 750 ml bottle of whatever. But I have a story about karaoke. For the places we used to go to, there was one time I went with a female friend of ours, and it was just the two of us, so we got the small room. And the person that led us to the room was like, "Do you guys need condoms?" And I'm like, "What the fuck do we need condoms?"
Oh my gosh!
It didn't occur to me until like an hour after seeing, like, oh, they think we're fucking. Is that what's happening here? Oh my god! I did not realize they used the rooms for that purpose as well.
Mm-hmm.
Being a person who grew up in Asia, that's where we would do it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
As teenagers, where are you gonna do it?
That's true.
Nobody drove cars, and nobody, cars. Having a car was not really a big thing in Asia. So like the kids, we had karaoke box, but we also had what they call MT. Like there's KTV, karaoke TV box, and there's MTV, where you go and you pick out a laser disc, and they will pop it in the machine. You're in a little booth, and they'll project it, and it's like you're watching a movie in these little tiny rooms. But that's where people would have sex.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Wow. Like all these things I learned like years after the fact.
But like the doors are not locked. Do you know what I mean? Anybody can come in.
Yeah. But they don't. But they won't come in.
Yeah,
well,
they won't.
They should.
Yeah.
Right. They don't come in unless you ask them to bring you more drinks or something like that.
Yeah.
For all the times that we've gone to karaoke together, do you have any songs that stand out to you or that you remember from that time that bring you back to then?
Oh, Chris does. Chris, you have a Greatest hits.
Oh, I was talking with
Well,
Chris.
I mean, you know, it's funny because if I were to go, okay, so I mean, obviously, so we're coming into year 3 of the pandemic, and you know, I haven't been to karaoke since then, and I don't know what I would sing now, but certainly when we were going, and you know, we'd be there for like 5 hours, you know what I mean? Like you had to have a repertoire, you know, you had to, well, I mean, you start out with the stuff, oh, I'm going to sing this song and that song. And then by the end of it, it's just sort of like, what songs have I ever heard of in my life? Mostly because you've been drinking so much that, you know, any inhibition
this sounds great.
Oh yeah, it's going to sound amazing. But
then you get
I think it was those years. I think. Well, I mean, you know, you might remember better than me, but like, you know, I mean, I think those years, I was probably more into the Killers.
Yeah.
Franz Ferdinand. It was that kind of time, you know.
I think
the song
Rock Band made a big impact on what we liked to sing. I think a lot of songs now are Rock Band kind of legacy tracks.
For sure. Rock Band 1 was funny because I think that they the first Rock Band, you know, the songs that were on the discs. I don't think they balance those out enough in terms of like singers' songs, like songs that everybody knows how to sing. Because Rock Band 1, the whole joke was that they went to Penny Arcade Expo and they did Rock Band 1. They showed off Rock Band 1 for 3 days, and the harmonics guys had to, you know, play and fill in. And even if they weren't playing and filling in, for the people who were demoing the game, they had to at least sit there in the booth and listen to people play. And they had to listen to Weezer's Say It Ain't So approximately 500 times over the course of a weekend, you know, sung by amateurs. And they dug their own grave on that because, like, the reason that happened was because the songs that were on that first Rock Band disc,
Greengrass and High Tides.
Was like, it's like that was the only one that anybody looked at and was like, oh, I can sing this. And ultimately, the Rock Band etiquette was that whoever was on vocals, you know, get to pick the song, because you can fumble your way through anything on drums or guitar, but if you don't know how to sing the song, there's no gameplay. So they, you know, that I think later on with the Rock Band demos that they would do, or what was on the disc, it was much more. I think they were thinking about Guitar Hero song selection, where they should have been thinking about karaoke song selection.
Yeah. Oh, good call.
More diverse.
Yeah.
Well, I have benefit of 2020 hindsight. This was in 2007. I've thought about it for a long time.
So, Chris, there are 2 karaoke songs that one reminds me of you specifically. One reminds me of us and our friendship.
I know the second one.
So 9 times out of 10, you do "Handyman" by James Taylor.
Oh yeah.
A wonderful song. Yeah.
And then the song that we used to do all the time was that.
And it was "Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me." Specifically,
it's not "Don't Let Your Sun Go Down on Me."
That's not what the lyrics are. I hate to tell you. Yeah. This may involve you rethinking a lot of your life. Yeah. And we would do the George Michael live version where he introduces Elton John at the end, and so we'd be going back and forth with the George Michael and Elton John, you know, parts and over each other. But these cuts I have. And it was extremely impressive. I think everybody in the room was like, "Wow, these guys are really good. They should take this on tour."
Do you remember one time we were singing that at Buddha Bar, and then some guy wanted to fight me right after?
Well, the thing with Buddha Bar is Buddha Bar did not have a karaoke install.
Yeah, it's a jukebox.
No.
Right, yeah.
Do you remember that at all? I remember I'm drunk, I'm having a good time singing with my friend, and then this guy was calling us. He was dropping F-bombs on us, like why are you F people singing this fucking song in a bar? And I'm like, what? What's going on?
Ray, do you know what song in modern history is the #1 cause for karaoke murders.
Yes. I'll let Ray.
Specifically in the Philippines.
Oh, wow.
But it happens in other parts of the world as well. It has been reported. One song.
Cause of karaoke murders. Literally,
Like,
I mean,
Hotel,
like literally,
Hotel
literally,
California
like,
makes me want to kill people because that
Mhm,
every cover band in Asia plays it, and this fuckhead said
You're on the right track.
Ooh.
No, it's not.
Well, I mean, like it's a classic kind of.
It's a classic. Yeah, it's a song you've heard of. I think we should probably tell him because it's hard to pull something out. Yeah.
Okay. It is My Way by Frank Sinatra.
Really?
And the reason for the murders, or I don't think they're premeditated. It's because people have a very, very high expectation. It's not people are pissed off that the song is being played. People are pissed off that the person who's performing the song is not good enough. And that's where the bar fights happen.
Right.
Like people are like, you're not singing the song well enough.
Right. And the other thing is that the song itself, people can perceive it as coming off as being very self-aggrandizing.
Yeah.
And so the combination of they love the song and they don't like the way that somebody is singing it, but also it feels like the person singing it is full of themselves, will sometimes cause them to murder the person singing the song. And it has happened multiple
times.
Yeah.
See, I like
the My Way murders.
Yep.
Mackenzie Calhoun's guess is anything by Nickelback, which
Hey man, I love Nickelback hits.
I was trying to do this thing where I want to nickel roll people. Like I do it to our friend Ted's Facebook posts. I'll just randomly type in the reply section like "never made it as a wise man," and just randomly, no context, and just drop Nickelback lyrics. Have your vocal cords aged? Because mine totally suck now.
Oh, interesting.
I don't think I've ever tried singing recently.
No,
like karaoke singing.
The only singing that I do is when I do a stupid Good Job Brain, song that we put in an episode or something like that. That's the only singing I've done recently. I would love to get back to karaoke and see if my voice has aged like a fine leather or what, and maybe I can maybe I can't do the Killers anymore, but I could really pull off the James Taylor. Who knows? Who knows?
Ooh.
What?
You, Chris, one of your repertoire that I think is always very, very a crowd pleaser and impressive is I Believe in a Thing Called Love.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that very clearly because you can hit the high notes. I don't know about now.
Nobody knows now. I don't know now. I have no idea. Yeah, I did used to do that. That was fun. I should do that again.
I'm pretty sure my vocal cords have been destroyed by a combination of vaping for like 10 hours a day, this desert climate, and just age. Like sometimes high notes I used to be able to hit. I'm just like, no, that's not.
You know what? I think you save that stuff for later on in the karaoke when people aren't paying as close attention. The flats sound good, the sharps sound good. You know what I mean? Like it's all just kind of comes out of the mix. I will say, I mean, so I'm, again, like there's some people who get very annoyed about somebody did this at karaoke or somebody did that at karaoke or karaoke etiquette or all this kind of stuff. I'm pretty go with the flow. But I will say the thing to not do, especially when you're in a karaoke, box with people, don't go in at like 7 p.m. when everything starts and then immediately grab the iPad or whatever and then put on or put all your songs in, but also don't put in like, Don't Stop Believin'. It's like, Don't Stop Believin'. I didn't even get a beer yet. Like, why are you doing this? Bohemian Rhapsody. It's 7:30 p.m. What? We have like 4 hours to go. Like, we're all gonna have fun singing Bohemian Rhapsody like at 11 or something like that after 5 drinks. Like, please, just don't do that yet. Why would you do that? More Than a Feeling? Can we kind of hold off a little bit on that? Yeah. Really, it's Don't Stop Believing and Bohemian Rhapsody are the two that you cannot like blow early in the night.
So what's a good starter song then? That's kind of safe.
Ooh.
I
like to do like you have to get songs where everybody can sing along, right? In the beginning, like kind of chill. So something like Kokomo, something like
oh, okay, yeah.
You know, depends on which song, like Photograph maybe. But I feel like, yeah, you have to kind of build it up. I tend to like to close the night of karaoke with Boyz II Men, End of the Road. I think that's a very, you have like the guy who talks in the middle of the song, girl, hey girl.
yes.
You have different parts and you can harmonize.
The smartest thing that I ever did was I closed the night, a lengthy, karaoke session with Her Majesty by the Beatles, which is the 15-second song at the end of Abbey Road. It really felt like it just put a nice cap on the whole thing.
Hey, the next time,
yeah, I mean, I really enjoy doing karaoke like in a small room for a long time with a few people, because I think it just lets everybody kind of like go deep into the catalog. There was one time at Tokyo Game Show, there was a bat. So here's a story.
I almost was gonna tell this story.
Oh, really? Were you there?
Yeah.
No, you were there for this? Oh my God. Well, of course you were there for this because everybody was there for this. This was what, 2008, 2000, something like that. Yeah. Poor Christian. So our friend Christian and our friend Shane were there too. And so what happened was, it was like Tokyo Game Show, and it was okay, we're all going to go to karaoke this night, after Tokyo Game Show. Okay, great. So I get there, I'm a little bit late, I had dinner, I get up into the karaoke room, and I walk into the room, and I realize a few things all at once. Number one, this room is packed full of people. They have told everybody at Tokyo Game Show that, like, this is the place to be. Walked in there, packed full of people. Number two, the song list is full. It's like you put in the songs into the memory of the computer and the machine. The list is full. Number three, people are ordering all kinds of beverages. And number four, everybody in there is very inebriated and not really realizing what's going on. I'm just about to start drinking. And I also realize that, like, as I'm sitting up in there, there's a ton of people in this room, and more people keep streaming in. And at one point, like, one of the people working at the karaoke bar, because you pay per person per room. You don't pay for the room and split it amongst everybody. You pay per person. Okay. So somebody's coming in there with a clipboard and going, counting all the heads in the room and writing it down and leaving. And if somebody comes in and they count them as having been there the whole time.
Yeah.
And so at one point, people show up. I get the door, and a few people show up, and there's like 5 more people, and I'm just like, hey guys, the song list is full. The room is packed full of people. Like, you might not want to. And as I'm saying, like, you guys probably don't want to. Some drunk person comes up behind me and is just like, hey guys, how's it going? Come on in.
Oh no.
Pulls them all into the room. Guy working there comes in again, counts everybody, leaves. And then after a couple of minutes, the people who just got in there, who were stone cold sober in this room,
like, bye.
Very, very drunk people, are like, oh, yeah, we shouldn't actually be in here because we're never going to get to sing anything, and we're never going to get to drink anything. And this is a big, cluster. So they leave. So at the end of the night, after I probably sung one song or whatever, and I'm just like, I haven't had anything to drink.
It was,
you know what I mean?
It was from not Elite Beat Agents. It's from Oh and Done.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Was it which one?
Maybe it was Ready, Steady, Go.
Okay. Could have been Taiyo ga Moeteru. That could have been it. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
Was that it?
Yeah.
So I did, so we do my one song and leave. So we come downstairs. My other friend Rob was there, Japan Rob, who lived in Japan at that time.
Yes.
Yeah, so Shane and Christian are there. So we walk downstairs. And now again, today this would maybe not be as much of a problem. We get downstairs, and we're all young people, we're all in our 20s. Nobody's rich or anything like that. And we get downstairs and they're just like, okay, the bill is $1,000, you know?
And with the receipt. They gave the receipt, which was what, like, you know, CVS length, you know, to Christian, and Christian looked down at the end and he literally exclaimed, like he let out a sound that was panic and surprise and shock, and also kind of laughing at the situation because he doesn't know, his emotions don't know what to do.
Yeah,
too much going on at once.
Yeah, so it's just like, and again, this would have been handleable now, but was not handleable then, because nobody was, I mean, even if the bill had been a couple of $100, I mean, that would have been handleable. It was $1,000. And the problem is, guess what? A lot of the people in that room, especially the people who were like, oh yeah, come in, all our friends, blah, 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 whatever. Oh, they're gone now because they just left. And if they paid any money, it was like, oh, here's $20. You know, here you go. Here's 2,000 yen for the room, and they threw it at somebody. So, you know, whoever was collecting the money, Shane, I think, was collecting the money. He comes down, he has all the collected money, and it's like, again, it's like $200. There's like an $800, overage that nobody paid for, you know, and so it ends up being like, it's like, okay, I'm like, all right, fine. I'm going to put in $100 for the nothing that I consumed, you know what I mean, to help out.
Right.
My friend Rob, again, he went to the ATM, he got 100, you know, but it's like, as people came down, it was like, oh my God, you have to give us money, you know, and it was just a huge, ridiculous thing. And it's like we got the bill paid, but a bunch of us just paid a lot of money for people who ditched on us. And at that point, it was like, that not going to a karaoke thing like that anymore. It's like, it's going to be people I know, and it's going to be a smaller kind of thing, because
we were so young, and like, I don't even think everybody had credit cards. Do you know what I mean? Like
that's importantly, we couldn't even do that because, well, Japan didn't even take credit cards at that point. They needed $1,000 cash right then and there.
Like, even like $100 is like, oh my God, what do I do?
Where am I going to get $100? Yeah. And
it's
even hard to even get 100. Even if you want to do that, it's even hard to get $100, because at that time, Japanese ATMs didn't take your American ATM card. Like, now it's actually a lot easier to get money. You can go to 7-Eleven and get money with your American ATM card, but it wasn't the case then. So, that was something.
Did it still have back then? I remember in Tokyo, some ATM vestibules had hours, so there would be gated. You're 9 or 10 or something.
Yep. So they'd roll down the shutters, and you couldn't use the ATM anymore. And the thing is, it's like, you know, if you live in Japan, you prep for that. But if you're a tourist, you're there in business or whatever, and especially you have no idea. You have no idea. Yeah. Yep. So just finding the money was hard.
Karen, I wanted to ask you how you got started with the Disney marathons. I love seeing your photos.
Oh, it's been a while now. I think I started when I was back in Game Pro. So that's like what, 2010, 2011. So it's you know, more than 10 years ago. It was I started running for fitness, mostly because I had like this is, you know, before smartphones, there was something called Nike Plus, and it was like a thing you actually put in the Nike shoe, and then there's it's like a transmitter, and then it, you know, could measure your distance. This is very old tech. Like, this is before smartphones, before GPS was, you know, cheap, and this was just like a pedometer. But anyway, so I started running because of that gamification. And then someone told me, hey, you know, in Disney parks, they have like actual races. And I was like, oh, okay. And I looked online, and this is like, again, before smartphones, before social media. It was like, you know, it was not a small event, but it was not a super, you know, sold out kind of thing. And it's like, all right, well, you know, I see this half marathon that's gonna take place in Disney World in Orlando, and I was like, oh, I'll try running a half marathon, and that's when I started. So I ran that race. It was my first half marathon. I couldn't move, after running the race, and it was really cool because you get to run through Disney, right? So unlike a normal kind of boring foot race, you get to run. They really put out entertainment. They have like characters to greet you. You're running through the castle before the park is open, so it's really magical. And running still was really, really boring. Like even with that, running is still boring. You're out there for like 2 hours. If you're running a full marathon, you're out there for like 4 or 5 hours. And so I was like, you know what? This is such a magical experience. Like maybe I should like dress up and be silly and kind of, make it more fun for me and make it more fun for people watching and whatever. And so I started doing like costumes. I was like, oh, I'll run in costumes. And like, there weren't a lot of people who did that. And I was like kind of the early person who did that. I think it's because I also didn't mind looking stupid, which is a very, very big kind of thesis for this hobby, is like I don't mind looking stupid, and I don't mind running in uncomfortable costumes. And that's kind of how I started becoming, the costume person for Run Disney and many races.
And one of my favorite things about your photos is that you're always smiling when you're running in costume.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
normally when
because it's fun.
But it's so weird.
It's fun when people are yelling at you and you're kind of looking stupid, and it really does make it more. It hurts more, but it's more enjoyable.
Do you have to think about smiling as you're running when you're taking these photos, or are you just having fun? Okay, because when you see people, they're always.
I think it's because I have to like open my mouth to breathe.
Okay.
So it's like you might look like I'm like smiling, but really I'm just trying to not die and breathe.
You're happily breathing. That's not. No, you have a cute smile in your photos.
Oh,
when
thank you.
When you're doing it. Because most people, when you see them running, when you see photos of them running, they're like, or they're making whatever stupid derpy athletic. Can you say derpy?
Well, that's the thing. I'm not doing these races to like kill myself. Do you know what I mean? I'm not doing these races to like. I'm trying to have fun. So I'm not like be like, man,
you're not going for a time.
Yeah, I'm not Usain Bolt. Right. Like I'm not trying for anything. I'm just there to like soak it in.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
But yeah.
Well, I've had you guys here for long enough. I super appreciate you coming to hang out. I miss both of you tremendously. It was good to catch up.
A lot of memories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I hope next time you guys are in Vegas, the Venetian actually has like fancy karaoke rooms. You can
really?
Yeah. And they're pretty nice. So that
I recently just went to Vegas. It was amazing. I mean, it's amazing in terms of like how clean and how sanitized and how serious. Like I think hotels are.
When did you go? Because
only a couple months ago. I think November.
Okay. So early last year, it was getting pretty bad because the hotel rates were so cheap. So we're getting some awesome characters on the strip.
Oh, I see.
They would order these expensive meals and be like, "Hey, there's a hare. We're not paying for this." And then big uptick in violence.
Really?
Yeah, we were getting some winners on the strip because hotel rates were like, even at the nice places, they were like 20, 30 a night for a while.
Yeah.
Not like that anymore. But yes, I want to thank you guys for joining me. Be sure to check out Good Job Brain. It is
not Brian.
Not Good Job Brian.
We used to own goodjobbrian.com, and then I forgot to renew it, and someone else snatched it up.
Oh.
Well,
and follow
as long as they're doing something with it.
They're not, but okay.
Well, then okay.
And be sure to follow Chris on Twitter. He is at Coban Heat. Follow Karen on Twitter as well. She is Momo Pesh. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, it's from Xenosaga.
Oh, that's right. And be sure to follow all my stuff, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I really suck at promoting, and it's a terrible thing I need to get better at. But yeah, this was RPadTV 3000 with Chris and Karen from Good Job Brain, and we will see you next time. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.